this episode is probably going to be all over the place, and it is all over the place already. Like, you have to accept it and move forward. Gets me every time, every single time. Okay, so I publicly want to say happy birthday to a very, very special person to me. And actually, she's kind of one of like the, how do you want to say, role model / mentor for me in my life and this topic, actually. I want to say happy birthday. She's my little nugget. Oh, I love her so much. So she is getting a year older. I honestly don't know how old because there's so many people in our family, but it's okay. I just want to tell her happy birthday, my little bear. She's a very strong and independent woman, and I love her to death. So, and then also, I also want to say thank you so much to everyone. Y'all, I literally thought there was going to be maybe max like 20 people that watch this. No. Oh, it just went wild, and it's just like felt so like amazing just to have like so many people's support and interest, and I just like, oh, I'm so appreciative, and hopefully I can get this site up because a lot of y'all asked for stuff like I just wasn't prepared for, and so yes, like I'll have my site and my merch like up and running shortly, I hope, and yeah, just keep it going. Now, I want y'all to know I have had these episodes lined up, and I'm saying this because there is one woman out there. This is not portrayed towards you. I just want you to know that like I already had this episode in the running, and I hope that it gives you a little peace of mind. Wink, wink. So this is Breaking Bad, okay? The past is the past, and you can kiss it, cowboy, because at the end of the day, oh man, y'all, to the woman that called me 30 times, and, you know, just tried breaking in a bunch of my stuff because I got 2-step verification. Y'all should get it. So it alerts me every time and like where actually it's coming from. That's how like tech is. And when you call someone, just know like Apple gives caller ID. So I want y'all to know my philosophy on going back to an ex. Okay, y'all, going back to an ex for me is like taking a shower and putting on dirty underwear. Disgusting, not gonna happen. And I just hope that a lot of women get that philosophy because you will never get to rewrite a chapter that's already written, okay? You have a book. God literally has your book laid out. You have the chance of free will. We went over that. And you get to choose your path on what you want. But just remember, once that chapter is written, like once it happens in your life, it's there. Okay, it's just like a really good book. Like whenever you have a chapter that's art, like you're reading it and you're like, wow, that's so good. You can reread it as much as you want, but it's always going to be in your brain. It's always going to be there. And so whenever you like think you can rewrite a book that's already published, you can't do it. You can, I just found out you can edit clips that's once already released, but you cannot rewrite a book. Like once you have a book that's published, it is out there, words are there, it is set in stone, concrete. So it's kind of the same thing. Like whenever you have something, whenever like the way a guy acts, the way anybody acts, like it's there. And this is for men too. Y'all, my shows, like I hope that it, like actually I did reach a lot of men too. So like, hey, take this advice as well. Like when you think you're going to do something, make sure it's what you want to do, because you can't go back and fix it. So, yeah, I do not have any kind of relations with any of my exes. I will not have relations except for one. And that was the high school sweetheart I talked about last time. And the only reason that he is still part of my life, don't date, but he is a friend because he owned up to all of his actions and he apologized. And I'm very good friends with his mother. And so, yes, like that, I will have them in my life. But as opposed to other people that have made an impact so heavy on my life, no. And if they are in my life or they do reach out to me, that's between different conversations. And that is something that, like, I do believe in privacy. Like, yes, I do have a podcast, but I still believe in privacy, y'all. So, but to put your mind at ease, y'all, no. I just, like, don't even get fired with that. Like, if you have kids and you have, like, if you're mentally unstable, get help, okay? Like, that's all I can tell you. But I'll tell you something. My therapist told me Control of what you control. If you're in a situation where you can't control the outcome, control stuff in your life that you are in control of. Like, that's the only thing you can do. And if that doesn't work, kiss it. Like, literally tell them to kiss it. Like, it's not nothing new. Goodbye. The one thing that I have learned after losing someone so dear to my heart, if not that I think I'm not better than anybody. I do not think I'm better than anybody whatsoever. But if someone is disrespectful to you in a way where it's just like uncalled for behavior, honey, bye. Like, I don't need you. And that's one of the things I was talking about. My sister, she, like, I think everyone like matures and grows in different ages. And with me, it took a little bit, like, I had to learn the hard way. Like, I'm very like strong-headed, very like in my ways. And so like God had to teach me a couple lessons because like the hard way. But it was just so amazing because like my sisters, a lot of them actually, like I come from a very strong woman family. And a lot of my sisters, like one of the things is like they don't put up with like no bullshit. And so for me, like surrounding myself with that after like definitely like losing, I really focused on my relationship with my family. And I learned, okay, if someone disrespects you in a way that's not okay, see the red flag, accept the red flag, and goodbye. And it's one of those things where it's like, okay, and if that hurts their feelings, then you can, like, of course, do it respectfully. But at the same damn time, it's like you have to understand, like, your own respect value. And I believe that when you, like, grow that and you learn and accept it, it becomes a value that's, like, becomes very dear to your heart. And so, like, I've been on a couple dates with some men, and like we'll go into that episode because that's funny. But I've been on a couple of dates with some men that like just talk down to like a woman or just anybody really, and I'm just like, oh no, oh hell no. And Caroline learned that at a very young age, and I'm just like, dang girl, go you. Like, she's very confident in her ways, and so I actually learned that from her because she's just so amazing on that standpoint. She doesn't put up with any fairy BS, and I'm like, okay, I can do the same thing. Yeah, that helped me a lot in my life. And like even now, like reaching out and understanding how it is to like move forward within that. I don't know. I think it's just once you find yourself in like a respect value and you find like where you are in your life and you accept it and you're like, okay, I don't need to put up with that. And it took me going through all this stuff that I went through, and we went through it on the first episode, but then it like really like losing Ben, like when you have someone that like really treasured who you are, it made me feel, I don't know. I don't know if it gave me more sensibility and more purpose. But it's like, okay, I've literally had someone so amazing. Like, I don't need to put up with this fairyland BS. I'm not scared to like, I don't know. There's nothing fake about me and my personality. And I will say like, the only thing fake on me is my tits. Like, other than that, I'm Gucci with it. And so like when someone's very disrespectful, I'm like, boy, you can kiss it. Like, kiss my ass. I don't give a shit. And then I had to stop saying that because then they'll come back and they're like, okay, bend over. I'm like, all right, I can't even do that. But I just like, so I summoned into Kiss It Cowboy. So I loved that. And I saw it on a shirt and I was like, okay, I'm going to keep that. And I just found it very respectful in a sense of respecting yourself. It's okay I do not think it's okay to talk down to a man. Again, like, yes, that's in most other ways. And I don't think it's okay to talk down to anybody, really. But if someone disrespects you, I feel like it's completely okay to recognize it and remove yourself from a situation because you don't deserve that. I don't think anybody deserves that in a sense of just understanding, like, where you fall your priorities in your life. And I would say that's really a big one for me. And ever since I put that philosophy in my life, like, I've kept relationships and friendships with like the people that matter and that we're on the same like wavelength and same understanding. And I feel, I don't know, I feel very at peace. Like I don't know, I guess the self like value and sensibility. And it was hard for me to get there, to be honest. Like it took a lot of like understanding, and even now, like I just don't know why people have such a hard time with knowing what's right and what's wrong. But at the same time, like, it's up to them to figure out. It's not up for you to fix. Like, it's not for you to try and tell them either. I can understand, like, if you want to, like, tell someone how it hurts you because your feelings are valid. Everyone's feelings are valid. But really understanding, like, the purpose behind respect is very, very huge. I do find it. And, like, I pity people that feel the need to still express in their lives on an ex or on like if they're dating someone new, putting yourself in other people's lives. Focus on your own. Focus on your own priorities. Focus on how you can make yourself better. Because the more you put energy into someone else, you're giving them ammo. Like you're like, okay, thank you. And you're wasting all that time spending it pushing towards someone else or like pushing it to like know what's going on in their life. I don't even understand how to say this right now because I don't want to like say this exact situation because I literally feel bad for like her. Honey, you're an amazing woman in who you are. Clearly, you have an amazing life. And I'm going to try to say this with the utmost respect. And I say that in a sense of you're alive because every time you wake up in the morning and like God gives you a breath of air, that's a blessing. And this is for anybody. It's not just for this one person. If you wake up, that right there is a blessing. Go about your day, but focus on what you want to change about yourself. Grow within who you are. Don't put attention on other people. Don't express your feelings towards someone else. I wake up every day and I'm like, thank you, God, for today. What can I do to make myself better? What can I do to make myself succeed in a way I want to succeed in what I want to change? I have a second chance to live. I'm not going to waste it on putting energy into other people that were toxic in my life, that are toxic still in my life. I'm not going to do that. So if you have someone that's toxic in your life, let them go. Be like Frozen, let it go. Because at the end of the day, you're wasting so much time and effort worrying about someone else, like exchanging so much crass and crude, like voluntary, I guess, efforts of just nastiness that it doesn't even matter. Like, go be you. Go do something to make yourself feel better. Okay, I'm a woman. I wake up, I recognize what I have, and I own it. And I literally go forward with that. I don't plan to please every single person or every single woman. My past trials and tribulations is different from anyone else's past and trials and tribulations. There are similarities, and I think that's where we can connect on. With understanding who we are in the past and moving forward, enough about that, enough talking about that. We should also understand what it is to live in the present. When you do something, just even if it's just one thing nice, holding the door for somebody, telling someone that they look beautiful, recognizing, oh, I wonder what she's doing in her life. You don't understand like how amazing that can make someone feel. Especially like when, for example, I was thinking of my sister the other day and I was like, you know what? I'm going to text her. I love her. And I did. And like, they needed that. And then my sister did that to me. Like she sent me a prayer and I was like, I wonder what she said because we haven't talked in a while. And then I went and opened it and it was a prayer and I read it and I was like, wow, I actually really needed that. Okay, so in the middle of recording, little side note, the whole power of the studio just like went out. And I was like, oh my God, whoa. And then I thought maybe that's a sign to not talk about this episode. But I think it was a sign that was saying deflect on what you're actually wanting to talk about. And I think that it's very important to understand the past, the present, and the future and acknowledging what each of those mean and how they helped you, how it helped me in the past to recognize what's important. Because like when you lose someone, you find out what's important and you really understand like what's beautiful and what is really, I guess, where you put your energy and what is something that makes you feel for your purpose. We're all here doing one job, and that is to be happy, our purpose to fulfill like what we're destined to do. And I really think that when you have at ease, that settling feeling, that's when you know, okay, I've made note, I've conquered, I've completed. And that's something that we really need to focus on as an individual and as a community and as a person in the world. Like, what is it that makes you happy? What is it moving forward? And I think that whenever you really purpose that in your life, when you see your challenges and your blessings, you focus on that and you're like, okay, I now understand what it is to be me, how to move forward. Whenever you focus on like other things, it just takes it into that like field of just like it's unnecessary. When you find something that you believe in, for example, my sister, she focuses on her kids and like my mom focuses on us. I guess that's where I focus on my dog. Like my dog is like my priority, like one of my priorities in my life because it is a living being. And so, like, I take that right there into consideration. So whenever people feed me BS, then I'm just like, okay, I need to go back to like what's important. Or like whenever someone focuses something on a negative standpoint, I go back to what's important. Again, control what you can control. There are things that is going to happen in this life where you can't control it. And that's something that you have to grasp and understand. Okay, what can I control? And ever since I started doing that, oh my God, I live such a happier life, and I live a life more at peace. Whenever you put energy and effort into something that doesn't matter, that doesn't exist, it creates damage to your own self-reflection of who you are. And when you get lost in that rabbit hole of not understanding who you are, you lose yourself. And when you lose yourself, you then create a whole persona. And yes, you become borderline psychotic, because at that point, you're just like, you're not acting who you need to be. That is something that's very important, I think, to a human being and to a self-perseverance of knowing who you are. And when you lose who you are, it changes who you like can be. And then you just get lost and sucked into a rabbit hole of not living happily. Like, you're focusing so much time and doing stuff that doesn't matter to you, but hype up that other person's ego. Honest to God, like, I'm not even gonna lie, like, the girl that's like acting crazy to me, I thank you. Like, I'm glad that like you give me that reassurance, because I now see like I'm valuable. I'm valuable to you because you are obsessing over me. And I think that's a compliment. You should not be giving me that compliment. Know who you are as a person. You giving that compliment to me doesn't hurt me. It helps me. It hurts who you are because you then think otherwise. And I used to do that all the time. I used to obsess over every guy that cheated on me. I used to obsess over that girl. I used to feed that girl's ego. Don't feed their ego. I've created friendships with a lot of those girls because some girls didn't know that it was happening. But at the end of the day, to the girls that know it's happening and to the girls that allow it to happen, that's where it's just like, okay, that's a little much on my end. That's a little much on your end. We can't be friends. And I actually created a friendship, a really good friendship with one of the girls that like my ex did cheat on me with. You can create those friendships, but then I also realized it's never really a friendship. I believe very much on organic relationships. And that's why like a big part of it is like if they are disrespectful, and then I'm good. I don't need you. Goodbye. And so I've actually learned to say kiss it cowgirl multiple times, because women, I think we are our biggest enemies. We can be our greatest value, but we can also be our biggest enemy. I think that that's a very important aspect. Women that lift other women up, glory to you. I am a girl's girl through and through. But at the same time, I have a lot more guy friends than girlfriends. And I say that because it's easier to deal with a man because they come to you about their problem. They say what's wrong. You fix it and move on. You handle a situation and you move on. With women, it is so much different. It longs and lags, and you're just like, okay, that's enough. I'm ready to live my life. I'm ready to move forward. I'm ready to see what is in value or in play here. I think it's a very big understanding in life is knowing where you stand in someone else's. In my opinion, in seeing someone's value, it's either black or white. There's a lot of gray areas. I don't do gray areas, and especially with a man. If I don't know where I stand with him, I'm okay cutting you off. I'm okay with saying, okay, you clearly don't want to express like where I stand. I'm going to express, like if I have to express myself and say, this is what needs to be done multiple times, it is not worth it. I think that energy is just like useless. Breaking that bad habit is with a bunch of men. Breaking that bad habit in general with people is a big flag for me. Whenever you're with someone and like you don't know where you stand in a sense of like where it should be and where it shouldn't be, that is important. Knowing where anyone stands in your life, it's okay to cut them off. Whenever I find a situation where I'm not in control of my emotions, because like I've been telling you, like you want to be in control something that you can control. If you can't control a situation or what someone else is doing, don't focus on them. Focus on yourself. Let them persuade what is important and what is not, because what's important to them may not be important to you, and that is something you have to understand and move forward from. We cannot live in a life where you're a prisoner or you're in jail or you are captured by someone else's opinion or emotions. You have to move forward. But in order to move forward, you have to understand what is done in the past, It will not change. People do not change. People, things, situations, once something is done, it's done. And that's why it's very important for you to stop, think, and understand what you want to portray yourself to be before you move forward. I think that's a very, 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 very important aspect to live in your philosophy of life. I like living alone. And I had to get out of that a lot because like when I finally realized like, okay, I don't need anybody. And like I was telling people to kiss it and like I really don't find an excuse or a need. I've realized I'm okay with living alone. And like within that saying, I'm trying to open myself more to experiences, like knowing who I was in the past, knowing what I went through, knowing where I stand and where I want to go. I will say it is hard because I do believe in the philosophy of saying kiss it or push them to the edge if they're disrespectful, but like also growing as a person and growing in my own way. I will say like that is one of the challenges that I've had to like conquer and I will continue to conquer is just because you've been through something, you can't just tell everyone, okay, goodbye, kiss it, bye, like I'm good. Because like when you continue to do that, you will find yourself being alone. And I think that being alone is fine. Like I said, I like to be alone. I've learned to live alone. When you have that situation of like knowing where you stand within yourself, there's no need to go back to an ex. It literally bothers me, especially like when my guy friends and they're like, oh, how are you, blah, blah, blah. And then they realize like they don't get what they want. They go back to a girl. But then they end up treating that girl the same exact way. That frustrates me so bad. It's not even funny. I find it very disrespectful. I then see you differently. It's like in the movie Pride and Prejudice. And whenever they're walking and then Darcy's writing and he's like, once my good opinion's lost, it's lost forever. I literally love that so much. And I want to put it everywhere. And like, I remember that whenever I'm going through something, I remember, okay, like in a situation, for example, like that's my philosophy on how I think other people, but it's also my philosophy on how I think of myself. Once my good opinion's gone, it's gone forever. With saying that, like, I don't only hold others accountable, I hold myself accountable with that same opinion. Like my actions today, like it actually helps me a lot. Okay, if I'm going to do this, then I need to own up to it or I need to keep it or I need to have like my word is my word. I don't go back. Like I love Texas because that's one of our things. Like your word is your bond. It's very something I live by and it's like the good opinion. And I take that and I grow with it. I don't focus so much on other people. And if that's how you feel, like, okay, just know that is not a healthy way to think. That is not a healthy way to feel. You need to get over that. Like the past is the past. Move forward because I promise you're the only person living in the past when it's not necessary. And turning in situations in life that matter the most, I think it's very important to understand where you find yourself on your own scale. And I think that is like one of the most important things is that scale of who you need to be and who it needs to become. Hold yourself to that opinion of being a good person. Okay, is this somebody that I want my daughter? Or is this somebody that I want my sister? Is this someone that I want my mother or my father to know about? Or like even like your best friend, like is this something that I think is important enough to share? No, like if you feel ashamed to say it out loud, why are you doing it? Like what is the point in it? Now, if you do feel like you can boast about it, say it to their face. I promise you 100%, if you can say something to someone's face, then it's meant to be said. If you cannot say it to someone's face and you're scared of their like reaction, don't say it. That is something that I really, really, really love, to be honest. Like, if I say something, I'll be like, okay, I'm okay with saying this to their face. Or if I do something, I'm like, I don't care if I do this in front of them. That is something that I literally grow upon. And I feel like women should also take that into account. Like if you can't do something or say something in front of somebody, why are you doing it? I believe wholeheartedly that if you are confident enough in who you are, you live the most happiest life. I live a life that is so peaceful. I really do not find it disturbing in any manner or any way. You can boost my ego by obsessing over me 100%. I do not care. But at the same time, like, I will pity you. But do you really want someone like me to pity you if you're obsessed with me from the past, like, situation that you were in? Dun-dun. No, you don't. I'm sorry. I wouldn't want that. You don't want that. I outgrew that phase. Honey, you should have outgrown that phase a long time ago. We all should have outgrown that phase a long time ago. And I feel like once a woman really understands and how, like, confident she is and who she is, I can understand, like, whenever you're like, okay, I know who I am. I know who I represent. I don't need this anymore. Knowing when you're in your past and you're wanting to move forward, even from a guy's standpoint, because I know things can be tricky in situations. I know, like, once you do something to mess up and you didn't mean to do it and you're held accountable, the next thing that you can do is just understand what's best in your area and move forward with what's in that aisle. And the only, like, the best way that you can do something is just to picture, like, who you are and, like, what attracts good things. I think that when we all take what we've done and you are so hard on yourself, I'm like the one person that's the most hard on myself. I am so hard on myself. Like if I do something wrong or if I say something embarrassing, I'm like, oh my God, Mariah, why did you say that? But it's just something that was already done. And like, you have to move forward. You have to grow. You have to push onto that, not obsessing over every little thing that someone does or obsessing something that you do. Move forward, let it go. I promise you, like I used to think this all the time, like someone obsessed over it or like someone really believe like, girl, you're not that important. I promise you. Like I tell myself that all the time, like you are not that important that that's going to affect their life for the rest of them being. Now, if you say something that's like daggers, yeah, that I can understand. Like I'm not someone that gets mad, but like when I do get mad, oh my gosh, my tongue is my sword. It's like all the opinions that I think of someone comes to light, even when it's not my place to say. And I think that's my biggest flaw. And like moving forward, like I try really hard and I don't get mad. That's why like I literally try really, really, really hard to not get mad because whenever I do get mad, it like unlocks a Pandora's box. And I'm like, okay, Mariah, chill out. Like nobody needed your opinion. Nobody needed you to say that. And I try really hard not to do that because once you do that, it's there. And I think that's very important, especially like within the past and like knowing who you are and moving forward within that time frame. It's one of the things where it's like you can't define that. It's done. It happened. Try to fix it. If you can't fix it, then it wasn't meant to be fixed. And that's something that you need to move forward in life and understand and accept. And that's okay. God does everything for a reason. And I say that so much and so many times because whenever you have that understanding, it wasn't meant to be talked about. It wasn't meant to be said. It wasn't meant to be lived. It wasn't meant to be even acknowledged. So it's one of the things that you just have to like move forward and understand within your life, someone else's life, and everything in between. I'm just a completely different person now and from what I was in the past, and you have to just understand like, okay. And if they don't see your growth, if someone doesn't see your growth and like how you are, let them go. You do not need them in your life. This world is filled of like billions and billions of people. And I make new friends every day. You can make new friends every day. It's not important. Now you make friends with people. The only thing that I can tell you is don't get attached too easy. You have to understand the relationship, just like with a guy, like whenever, and some people are more attached, like this can go towards girls too. Like when you meet someone and it feels great and it's like, oh, wow, this is such a connection. And then you see like their true colors, like down the line, talk to them about it. Like, hey, I didn't like that. And see how they react to you talking about it. See how they react to you being a person that stands up for herself or stands up for themselves. Like understanding where that like fine line of, okay, for example, I used to be so scared to bring up situations like that or talk about that. Now, if someone brings something up, I'm okay with standing up to that and saying, hey, I didn't like that. Like, I don't care if you look like you're like the cowboy from Montana. I did not like that. And see how they react because sometimes it surprises you and they come to you and they're like, oh, well, no, this is this and this. And I'm like, oh my God. That's how this works. Holy moly. I could have been doing this the whole time. That's how this all works. Like you tell someone and you talk to them, oh, I didn't like that. And then they say, okay, well, I won't do it again. I didn't know. Sorry. And sometimes they don't even recognize that they say it within themselves or like they don't realize how they come off or they portray. And you just helped them have their own self-growth by you having your own growth. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to express how you feel or what you understand and what you don't understand. I think that is something that's very important, especially whenever you're someone that like is growing within themselves and like, you know, you have self-growth and you know, like what's important. Speaking up to somebody and saying, I didn't like that. Okay. Oh, wow. They didn't like the way I talked to them that way. Okay. I will make note of that. I've made note on so many different things saying, okay, I did not know I did that. And like, then when someone else said that, oh, well, I didn't know I did that. And then I reflected back on the past on all the times I've done that. And I'm like, holy moly. Growing up, we give ourselves so many different graces and we learn stuff from our parents. And it's not that they mess up, because I'm telling you right now, I don't know how I could, like, how I would be a mom or reflect. I know I would say, oh, I would never do that. Or I would say, oh, I'd never do that. But at the end of the day, I have no idea. I am not a mom. So like in some situations, I'm like, oh, I would never do that. But then like I see myself and I step back and I'm like, okay, wait a minute. I have no idea. Now, when it comes to like toxic stuff and like all this other shit and being a psycho, I got you. I know. Sorry. I can literally straight up tell you, girl, you need I can straight up tell you, girl, you need mental help. Like you need to go get help. And I'm okay to say that because I've been there and done that. It's one of the things where you have to move forward and you have to understand where your place is, what you've been through, what you can say and what you can't say. And I think when someone understands that and like really fully throttles breaking those bad habits of portraying who you used to be and who you want to be, okay, like you can sit there and you can scroll on someone's Instagram, you can scroll and you can look at someone else's life and be like, oh, I want to be like that so bad. Okay, well, what are you doing different? Because you have the option to be whatever you want to be. You have the option to become who you want to become. But holding yourself back and not saying, okay, I want to do this. You have to own up to it. Saying, oh, I want to be this way. Okay, well, then you need to take the actions and move forward. I am that friend. Like I have been like, how do I want to say this? I've been told that I'm that person that I'm too blunt with friendship. But at the same time, like that's what I would want. I would want someone to tell me, no, that does not look good on you. Or yeah, you are being crazy. Like it's going to be said. And I literally can like tell you one of my friends, like I can have her on here. She will literally be so honest with you. No, she is like so mean, blah, blah, blah. It's not being mean. It's being honest. Would you want someone to be honest with you or would you want someone to lie to you? I don't believe in lying. Like it's one of the things where now I'm not going to even like remotely play this down. When I was younger, I would always lie because I was a people pleaser. Or I would do like not even like a full lie. Like I would bend the truth and I'm like, oh, I can do this and this. Or I'll say this and then I'll fix it. Or like, it's just one of those things where when you're young, you want to find approval or you want to find a situation where it's like, okay, that was a really bad problem for me. It's like me trying to please other people so much that I was hurting my own like self-image or my own soul, I guess I would say. I don't know how to even say that, but I was hurting my soul, hurting my personality because I wanted to please other people that I was not necessarily just lying, but I was like giving little fibs or bending the truth and then making it like come reality to like please other people. Don't do that. Like it's not something that's necessary. So now like if someone asks something, like I will tell you the truth. I have grown to where it's like and again, like it took losing Ben for me to see I don't need to please other people. I don't need to do anything for anyone else, but I want to. I will not lie to you to please you anymore, but I will help you the best that I can. And that is something that is your own self-growth, like understanding your growth and who you are, who you expect to be, who you want to be. That's something that you have to understand and become yourself. I think that was like a really big, big, big battle for me, especially being so young and the relationships that I had. That's why like dating younger men or even like when I was younger dating older men, it's one of the things where it's like that's something that is a big maturity gap. I think that, and not telling someone the truth is just as much as a lie. Me now, telling someone the truth, or when I find something out that wasn't supposed to be found out, or like you did not have, like you had many opportunities to tell me the truth and you didn't want to say it, that's a lie. That right there is a lie because you're cheating yourself by not giving yourself that grace to say, oh yeah, this, and this. I don't need that in my life. I don't want that in my life. You want to sit here and you want to tell me that, oh, it was justified. No, it wasn't. So yeah, I will tell someone to kiss it, like kick the road. I don't care. Like it's not part of it. I don't understand why you felt the need to do that. Moving in a direction that you want, you see a picture of your life, but allowing yourself to stay in neutral, you're not going anywhere. You have to put yourself in drive to move forward. You have to make sure that when you want to move forward, you know where you're going. Like road signs and everything, they're just suggestions. Like if you break like a road sign, it's a suggestion. You're going to get in trouble like you just broke the law, but it's very important. So like when you sit down and you don't understand where you're going in your own life, take a moment, think about it, and back up or move forward or understand where you want to go before you even do that. Because then you're like you're leading yourself into nothing. Like you're leading yourself into nowhere. You're just acting. Like you're not even like making for example, you're just living life. You're not knowing what you're going in direction. You're just going to live. Don't get me wrong. Living your life is great. You can live in a direction however you want. But like if you're not going anywhere, that's where you're stuck. Break that bad habit and move forward. Break a bad habit and understand what you deserve. Break a bad habit and understanding what's better for you. You have to understand that before you can even make a remote effort to do anything. I like to reflect a lot on my own life simply because that's the best way I can help others. And it's just like common sense and understanding what it works for you, what doesn't, what motivates someone to do something that you're supposed to do or what you're not supposed to do. We all have ups and downs. We all have trials and tribulations, but understanding where you can go from those, that's the most important lesson, I think. I feel like you should understand where you want to go, what you want to do. And it's one of those things that I repeat on myself a lot and I repeat on others. Don't make something about you because you want it to be about you. If there's something that needs to be about you, make it about you. But if there's other things that aren't about you, don't make them about you. This isn't something that where you live your life hoping on someone else's pain to reflect in who you want to be. Notice the blessings you have in your life and move forward. That's the only thing that I can understand or say. That is the one thing that I think I have kept up in my whole life. Never go back to an ex. I've learned my lesson the first time with that. And when I went back to my ex multiple times and it was just the same thing over and over again, and I just kept living insanity and it affected my life. I wasted so much time in my own life. That's when I made that rule. And I have stuck to that rule. And I'm so proud of myself. That is the one rule that I have stuck to. Never go back to an ex. If you dated someone and there's that breakup period and there's that time spent away from each other, there's no need to go back. I know how you are. I know it's you're not going to change. And I promise you that person's not going to change. No one ever changes. You can grow, you can mold, you can understand, but you can never change what already happened. So I will never and I will stick to that rule. I would never go back to an ex. And once you are an ex, in my opinion, nah. I mean, I guess there's this one. Okay, there's one exception. I think there's one exception. I would go back, but technically we aren't even an ex. I dated this guy for a little bit of time, and he was a perfect gentleman. He only made one bad mistake, and I think that is something where it's not I don't even know. How do you want to say this? It's not like a class misdemeanor. It's not a felon. It's just a misdemeanor. No. I think I would say that he's probably the only person that I would give a second chance to because he's not really an ex. Okay. So I think that's the one bendy part of my rule. But no, I've never broken that rule with anybody. Once you're an ex, you're an ex. And I don't think that you can move forward on any relationship. And that's where you got to break that bad cycle. Going back to something over and over and over again, it's awful. It's miserable itself. And who wants to live miserable? Oh my gosh, there's so much joy and happiness in the world. It's scary to be alone for a little bit. But at the end of the day, you're not going to be miserable. I don't know. I think it's just so much peace, finding out when you wake up and you're not in pain and you're not in agony in a sense emotionally. It's a great feeling. So live life beautifully. And I can say that's probably the one time where, I don't know, yes, after losing Ben, you wake up and I was in pain. I was yes, after you finish grieving, now that I'm at peace and I've been on dates, and those are, oh my gosh, that's another story. But waking up happy every day, I am proud to wake up. This is the one thing I can say after everything I've been through the past and molding to the future to who I want to be and moving forward. I think that when I lay my head down at night, I am proud of who I am. I am at peace with who I am. And waking up knowing who I am, it's such a good feeling. Oh my gosh, do it. It's something that is amazing. And you get to really, I don't know. I don't know. Y'all, I think whenever you first like lay your head down, then you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh my gosh, I really do love it. It's an amazing feeling. So with understanding all of this and like what I've been through, what I've lived through, and how I think, I hope that it helps somebody. This episode was really just to see, like, show like what I've moved forward and how I've helped myself, and how I hope it helps you and help you understand it's okay to not be okay. I hope you understand that it's okay to admit that you need self-growth. I do all the time. We all live in a repeat reflection of our lives to make ourselves better, because I know God has something amazing for me, or someone amazing, or a situation. It's helped me to this day understand, like, I'll be in situations and I'm like, oh, wow, I know how to deal with this now. Or I'll be in situations this day where it's like, oh, I know how to deal with this now. And it's, I'm okay with moving forward in the confident aspect of who I am. And so I hope that I see y'all. Follow me on social media, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and hopefully we can make this more of like a get together. I'm excited to share it, and trust me, guys, like, I am learning this whole new editing and like recording thing. So I'm going to try and get these started releasing on Monday mornings. That way you can start your week off with them and a little excitement and motivation and moving forward and how you want to be. So I'm working on that. Just give me grace. I am going to be better at it, I promise. So I hope to see you next Monday with Mariah, and I would love to continue to share our journey. Dun, 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 dun. And next week, I'm going to have an actual guest star on here. You know her as the girl that I went through the trauma with from my first episode. So hopefully I can get her on here. I reached out to her and she said, okay, but then she was like, no, I might cry. So I'm going to try really, really hard, because this next one is about grieving. And I hope that it can help others that are going through grieving, and how it helped us and how it helped our growth and our self-love. And I really think that it's important if you know how to react to someone else's pain and grieving. So like a lot of my friends and a lot of the situations that I think that happened, because I lost a lot of friendships because they didn't know how to deal with grief. So next week, I hope that will help people that are going through something and that are grieving, and it also help people to understand what grieving is and how to help their loved ones through grieving and how to communicate, because that was a big thing in my life, is my relationships with my family members, relationships with my friends. They didn't know how to react to grieving, and they didn't know how to react. And everybody like thinks to say, I'm so sorry for your loss. That's the one thing that like we're going to address, but I'm just letting you know, tune in, because it'll help out in a lot of ways, I feel like, and I hope that it helps you express and understand what's important in the grieving process. So thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate everything about y'all. And yeah, I can't wait. Thank y'all.